Welcome to the Canadian Securities Law channel. My name is Brian Koscak, and I'm joined with a good friend, fellow lawyer, and YouTuber, Mark Holthe. Mark, welcome. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Brian. It's great to be here. When we met over a year ago, I think it was, in a class that we were taking online, I was super stoked to find that there was another lawyer that was on there, but to also find out that he was from Canada, because it was heavily dominated by Americans and folks all over the world. But to find there was another lawyer who had a similar passion as I did for education, for training, and just teaching about law. And so, boy, when we had those initial discussions about coming on together and just doing something, together on YouTube, I was, it's hard to believe it's taken us a year to actually get here. But now that we're here, yeah, this is awesome. So this is your channel, my friend. This is yours, and I'm so excited, like I said, to be here. Tell us a little bit about this. Like, what's the intended audience? Who's this for?
Well, Mark, thanks. You inspired me. Mark has the Canadian Immigration Institute channel. He has over 30,000 subscribers. So I'm learning from a pro and from a lawyer who's figured this out. And that was inspiring. I'm all about education and training, and the Canadian Securities Law channel is all about that. What inspired this is we don't have enough education and training out in the marketplace today, and there's tons of reading to do. It's complicated. There has to be an easier way. So the whole purpose of this channel is to keep it simple, to break it down so everybody understands how to comply with applicable securities law so they can grow their businesses, make more money in a legally compliant manner.
Awesome. Okay, so if as a viewer, when I'm coming on, Brian, what can I expect? Like, what am I going to see from this channel?
Well, it's all about education and training, Mark. So I want to do lives like this. This is very interactive, and it's more interesting than just doing a PowerPoint presentation. But I will be doing PowerPoint presentations on topics, interviewing guests, using an assortment of different tools to kind of make it more interesting. I call it investment infotainment or edutainment,
Yeah.
as people are using it today. I just want to make this more fun, more inspiring. If people leave saying, wow, I didn't understand it, or now I understand it better, or I got a different perspective, that's what it's about. I mean, our securities regulators come out with proposed, rules and guidelines, and they're complicated. And there's hundreds of pages to read in terms of comment letters. And where do I go and read all this stuff? And most people don't know where to go. They don't want to read it. There's too many. Mark, I want to have very discrete videos on topics so people can have laser focus on what they want to learn
Yeah.
about. Because, people's attention span on YouTube is very short. They want to get in and get out. What do I need to know? What do I care about this? And move on. And if this can be a medium where we can break it down, simplify it, and talk to corporate finance experts, lawyers, accountants, maybe some regulators, other industry professionals, that's what I want to bring onto the channels to share with the viewers out there that this is not that complicated. If we can break it down and simplify so people understand, then they'll grow their businesses. They'll do it in a legally compliant manner. They'll make money, and more so, Mark, that they have confidence that they're moving forward instead of having the fear that they're open to lawsuits or regulatory reviews or all these other things that just, you need to get that out of the way. So let's talk about education training to simplify it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Brian. Like you mentioned, I'm an immigration lawyer, and immigration law is far less complex than securities. And when I, even as a lawyer, hear the word securities, and I have my other side hustles that I have involved, that I'm involved in, and the thought of wading into that area that is just ripe with, with risk and volatility and the unknown, it's kind of scary. And I'm a lawyer, right? And so for the average person to be able to come here to this channel and get answers that make sense, practical information and education that they can actually use to make decisions, and to give them the courage really to move forward, I think that's awesome. And as lawyers, both you and I know this concept of what we're doing here is really novel. It's new. Most lawyers feel that why would I be giving away free information that I would be charging someone for?
It's so counterintuitive because, lawyers, they charge hundreds of dollars an hour. I mean, securities law can be upward of like $700, $800, $900 an hour. My U.S. attorney that I have for other things I use charges 1,100 US an hour. That's a lot of money. So to me, my right fit client or viewers are basically, executives or people that are part of companies are trying to understand how to raise capital and and do it in a compliant manner. There could be registrants, dealers and advisors and the representatives that are trying to figure out the regulatory obligations. Could be other lawyers that are experts in the area and want to learn more from other experts I'm bringing on, or those that are just starting out and trying to figure out the basics. And other professionals, could be securities regulators. I really want this to be an ecosystem, a place where you can come and extract different information on different topics, because we're in a fast changing environment. Securities laws are always changing, and people are trying to practically understand, how do I comply? Because market law, as you know, there's principles and there's rules. And in securities, there's a lot of principles, and people are trying to figure out, and they're struggling with, how do I do this? What does this mean? I can't tell you how many people have said to me, Brian, just tell me the rules and I'll comply. And I said, well,
Yeah.
they're
It's
not
not that
rules.
simple.
It's not that simple. Like, you have maybe IROC rules or MFDA rules, but for exempt market dealers and others like portfolio managers, there's principles. And so you have to work with experts and otherwise and interpret it to become more aware of what your obligations are, and then to get actionable results, because that's what people are looking for, especially chief compliance officers who are running big dealerships. They need to understand, what do I need to do to comply? And Mark, what's happening now in securities generally is what are called client-focused reforms that impact registrants, like dealers and advisors. And it's like they rewrote all the rules, and they're now kicking in June, and then again at the end of December. So there's a lot of work to do in 2021 to get us ready. And that's why this channel is even more important, that let's get information out there real time. And honestly, if others are doing videos like this or YouTube channels that are lawyers and experts, I'm absolutely encouraging them, because we need more content.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got this awesome channel, and I personally, I'm selfishly looking forward to what's going to come. And I know I will be subscribing, not just because I'm here as your good friend and someone to introduce you and give you a little, kind of a send off with this first venture into this, but people that are really, really hungering for this information. This is going to be awesome. Now, people are going to say, okay, I see Brian Koscak's name on here, and this is alive, and he's got his own channel, but how in the heck did you get here? Like, what led you to be in a position now to teach other people? And I know you were a partner for a time in a large Canadian law firm in Toronto. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I was in business for many years, and I went to law when I was 29 years old. And I have my joint degree from University of Windsor as well as University of Detroit in terms of American and Canadian law. But I'm licensed now in Alberta and in Ontario. But I kind of jumped in right at the .com, at the end of the .com, and got into securities law. And so I was a partner at a big law firm in Toronto, Ontario for probably 15 years. And I did nothing but corporate securities law. So that's where I honed my chops and worked on tons of transactions. And I think I'm a bit different, because a lot of fellow lawyers do in securities do capital markets, and not many do what's called registration work and compliance. And so, in terms of setting up dealers and advisors and ongoing compliance, that was also, what I did, which was different than just the transaction work. So that's my experience at a big law firm. It was great. I still have strong relationships with my former partners and friends, but there was a time that, someone came knocking, and it was time to move on and say, can I go deeper in my world of securities law from just being a lawyer? Because for me, there's very much part of I was a businessman before I went into law, and did a lot of marketing and other matters. But that's what led to an opportunity to become a president and chief compliance officer and general counsel for a large and exempt market dealer out west. So I did that for about 4.5 years. And Mark, the exciting part about that is I combine law with business. And not many lawyers do that, because, the rubber hits the road. You can't just say on the one hand and then on the other hand, and what risk would you like to take? You have to make those decisions. And that was tough, but also it was an incredible journey. And that's, to me, what I want to bring to this channel and to the guests and people that I interview and live streams and the information I share, is I absolutely, in my mind, want to combine the theory, the principles, but with practices, with hard hitting, what do I do? What does this mean
Yeah.
to me? Because if we can't
Yep.
get that in operationalized law, then what are
Yeah.
you doing? And to the extent
Yeah.
that we need more of these discussions and bring in other insight from experts of how they are applying the law, what checklists are they using, what are their processes, that's where I think we'll all get bigger, better, and stronger in learning and applying Canadian securities law.
Now I know, from a work standpoint, you've worked, as a traditional lawyer in a big law firm. You've had the opportunity to be really driving the ship with a large exempt market dealer, but you're also involved in the association. You give a ton back to, and I know you do this. I've watched you as we've tried to arrange calls, and you're saying, well, I'm involved with this association and this association. So what kind of work are you doing on that front? I think it's really interesting to note that you're giving back to your industry.
Absolutely. I mean, people have different passions and not for profits. I've been all in with the Private Capital Markets Association of Canada. And before that, it was called the Exempt Market Dealers Association of Canada. And before that, it was the Limited Market Dealers Association of Canada. So it has quite the legacy and history. So I was the chair for 4 years. I was the vice chair for 4 years. Now I'm a member of the executive. And I'm also the chair of the advocacy committee. And I've been writing a lot of these comment letters with a group of us at the PCMA to the regulators, where we're putting forward our voice about where we think the right balance exists between fair and efficient capital markets and investor protection. And so bringing that wealth of information and insight to the private markets has been a privilege, been working with awesome people, and the collaboration, the synergy has made, I think, me a better person, a better practitioner, more knowledgeable in these areas. But also, I've been privileged to be on various government committees, or I should say, regulatory committees. So the Ontario Securities Commission had the Exempt Market Advisory Committee, where I was a member on for a number of years. I was also a member of the Alberta Securities Commission Exempt Market Dealer Advisory Committee. And most recently this year, I was on the Expert Advisories Committee for the Ontario government's modernization of the capital markets. They did a whole study on that. And so there was a group of 5 people that put out a report to change securities law to advance and make them better. And the government's acting on a few of them. So all that means is I'm combining industry experience, legal experience, but also working directly with the regulators and trying to figure this all out and move forward in what we call always, the right balance between investor protection and fair and efficient capital markets, because we need both to work. And this channel hopes to bring all that information together so the viewers can sit back and say, do I like this? Do I not like this? Do I agree with this? This isn't fair. This isn't right. This isn't balanced. I do the same thing with my colleagues and others when we study, the proposed laws, et cetera, as you do in your area of immigration. And I just want this to be a place where we can all gather and share our views to get bigger, better, stronger, and understanding Canadian securities law.
That's awesome. And so when you think about how this channel is going to play out, how frequently do you intend to provide new content, new videos,
I want to
live
do
streams?
something once a week, and then anything other than that is bonus. But the beauty of this is there's so many opportunities to provide quick little snippets of information that's coming out. So it could be a quick video on, the CSA, the Canadian Securities Administrators, just released something. It's all about this, and we'll do future videos on it, or taking something very complicated and breaking it down into videos of here's what they're looking for and here's the questions they're asking, and make sure you write comment letters. But also, what are people doing practically every day with issues that are not, novel or just came out or hot off the presses? It's more like, what is the basic things I need to be doing? Because people just want to comply. Companies looking to raise capital want to know, how do I do a PowerPoint presentation? What are the do's and don'ts? What's all this marketing material? Could be public companies going IPO, and how do we hire professionals? How do we put together a deal team? So you have your capital raising side, you have your registrant side in terms of helping intermediate trades with investors. There's also investors who are trying to figure this all out in terms of public markets, private markets. Mark, it's an exciting time. As you know, our economy now is rebounding. I'm happy to be part of Securities because this is the engine. Capital raising is the engine of all economies. And investors want good deals. They want to make money. Companies need money to grow their businesses. Governments need, tax revenues, need to stimulate the economy. I love exactly where I am, and hopefully you're getting that from me, is that there's no other area of law or things that I'd rather do than securities law.
That is awesome. And the amazing thing is that, Brian, you make securities law look interesting and fun and something that people want to learn about. Whereas I know when I was going through law school, any reference whatsoever to the world of securities just kind of made me cringe a little bit. But I can tell you right now, especially individuals that have a desperate need for this information, this channel is coming out at the exact perfect time, like you said, as our economy rebounds. So this is fantastic. Brian, thank you so much for telling the viewers a little bit about why you got started and your background and what they can expect with this channel. I am really, really looking forward to it. And I think what you're going to build here is really a community. And I'm excited to see where it's going to go.
Well, thanks, Mark, for helping me launch today. And for all the viewers out there, please leave comments, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Encourage me to continue doing this because it's all about us and our community. And the education training is critical. We need to get through this together. And again, I want to inspire you, write comments, make suggestions of topics or things that can be improved. This is your channel, make it yours. Good or bad, I welcome all comments because at the end of the day, it's all about growing. It's all about whether growing in your knowledge or growing in the channel, but it involves involvement and your voice counts, your comments count, because it's only through dialogue and discussion and comments and engagement through channels or other mediums that your voice will be heard and what you think is important. And I think that's what people need to hear is that with podcasts and YouTube, etc., is that you have a voice. So make it known. Otherwise, change won't happen. So thanks, Mark. I appreciate it. And I'll see everybody in the comments.